What we just learned about the Florida Panthers is insane, and it could have an impact on tonight's game. I'll tell you what it is that could have a profound impact on the Panthers winning or losing tonight. And there's players that have been playing great. Some need to step up. We will go over who has been doing everything that they need to help the Panthers win, and who needs to step up more so the Panthers can get the W tonight at home in game number 3 of the second round series against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Guys, thank you for joining me on this episode of Panthers Digest. I am Greg Andrews, and don't forget to click that subscribe button down below so you can stay up to date with anything and everything that has to do with your defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. Guys, thank you so much for joining me, and comment, like, share, and when you do leave a comment, please be respectful of one another's comments if you're going back and forth. Again, let's be civil here. Let's be respectful. Do not dog anybody that is leaving a comment out there. You're entitled to your opinion, as we do on the show. This is for entertainment. So guys, please be respectful of one another. And thank you for your support. So game number 3, guys, big one tonight, 7 p.m. Do not miss it. Is on TNT. So you're going to love it. I'm going to love it. I'm excited and a little bit nervous. Obviously, going down 0-3 is not going to be something that any Panthers fan wants, because usually the team that goes down 0-3 in a series does not come back to win it. The odds are stacked against us if that happens, but I like our chances tonight. But before we move forward, let's talk about game number 2. Panthers outshot the Toronto Maple Leafs 28-20. They had some incredible opportunities in front of the net. They just couldn't put it in the back of it, unfortunately. And Wall made some incredible saves, especially the toe stop save on Sam Miskevich that could have tied up the game. So there could have been a little bit of a turn there, momentum swing, but it went in the favor of Toronto, and they just did some incredible things on defense to end that game, especially when we were doing our 6-on-5 and we pulled Bobrovsky, and we will talk about him a little bit later. But the biggest thing here that we need to really look at is the face-off win percentage. Heavily in favor of Toronto in this series, and that's really been hurting the Panthers. That's been hurting them in their offensive zone in terms of winning faceoffs, setting up their offense, trying to move that puck around so that way the Toronto defenders that are standing and stacking in front of the net and blocking shots, that's why they have 25 of those, and I'll get to that in just a second. They need to move the puck more and get these guys and draw them off their line so they can have some openings to Wall and to the net. And they haven't been getting a lot of them. Toronto's done an excellent job of that, and the Panthers need to find a way to get those guys off their line. They got to be physical. I've said this before. They need to be physical. They need to knock their big guys off of their game, like Nylander, Matthews, Tavares, all of these guys. They need to find a way to get physical, just like they did in the first round series. They knocked Nikita Kucherov pretty much out of the series and made him a non-factor, which is why they had so much success. They need to get back to doing that with this team and get physical again. And we can see here the 41-39 hits in favor of Toronto. Toronto stepped it up a little bit more. But I think the tables will be turned tonight when it comes to that. And let's hope the face-off win percentage is better, especially in our defensive zone as well. So that way we can get the puck out of there and we can start making a charge into that neutral zone ice and hopefully beyond the blue line into our offensive third and set up and score some big-time goals, guys. But the block shots, I've said this in the first round series against the Lightning, the block shots are going to be key for the Panthers moving into the deeper rounds of the playoffs. They need to put their bodies on the line. They need to do essentially what the Maple Leafs are doing. Stack in front, set up a line of defense so that way you are blocking shots and not having to rely on your goaltender to stop everything. Bobrovsky's ultra-talented, don't get me wrong, but he's facing too many open shots that have lanes that are just wide open for them to take. I mean, come on. We have to start shutting down these shooting lanes so that way Bobrovsky doesn't have to work harder. Help your goalie. Help your goalie. And I don't think we've been doing a great job of that, especially with those odd man rushes, those danger area shots. There's been too many of them. And, the forechecking, we're aggressive with it, which is great, but it's backfired too many times in this series, which is why we are down 0-2. So hopefully that will be fixed tonight and we will see a more aggressive Panthers team, but a more aware team with that aggressive forechecking, knowing that if you're going to forecheck, you knock that puck loose, hopefully it bounces your way and not against you, and make sure you have another buddy next to you that could hopefully help you defend if that puck does bounce away from you and helps Toronto instead of helping us. So anyways, next, we are going to look at Paul Maurice. This is the big news, which is not really news at all because he hasn't said who the players are that are going to be game time decisions. We don't know. But there are some guys based on the health of a few players. So who are they? We don't know. We're going to find out tonight before the game, I'm sure. When the guys skate for warm-ups, I'm sure we'll get a better idea to any line changes, if there are any. Who knows if Maurice is just doing this to, I don't know, throw a little bit of a corkscrew into things when it comes to Toronto trying to get their lines together. Who knows? We'll find out tonight, so we're not going to speculate. You can see here, Barkov, Forsling, Lustranen, they're all super happy to be home. They can't wait to play tonight. The excitement is there, and I know the crowd's going to be rocking. And if you're there, guys, anybody, any fans that you're there, please wear your red. Wear your red, guys, and be loud. Let's make it so there are no blue jerseys or white jerseys there. It's got to be red and be loud. So, this is the good news for the Panthers. They are 15-9 and have more home playoff wins than any team since the 2023 playoffs. That is good news for the Panthers. All they have to do tonight is be more aggressive in terms of being physical. Not big hits, but you got to put the body on some of these guys. Bobrovsky has to step up. These lines have to do better. Our first line hasn't really done anything. I said this in the last episode. They really haven't done a whole lot. Barkov was the only guy so far that has scored in this series on that first line. There's not been a lot that's been happening. It's been pretty quiet. Pretty quiet. The third line, on the other hand, the Lustranen, Lundell, and Marchand line has been on fire. That has been the bread and butter for this team. They need to keep going with them, keep those guys together facing that third line of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and that will give us hopefully a bigger boost and mentally give this team a bigger boost. But that first line's got to step up. They got to start doing something because Reinhart hasn't really shown up and done anything. Barkov's the only one who really has. And Verhaeghe has just been a ghost out there. I barely noticed him out there. I've seen more of some of the turnovers. I've seen him shooting and stuff, but all of his shots have been at the goaltender. So it's been a tough series so far for him, but I think he will start to come to life, and hopefully that will happen tonight. So a lot of success in the playoffs is how you control the losses and how you learn from them. I love it. I love it. The team should bounce back tonight. I think Paul Maurice, as head coach, does an excellent job of that in terms of having his guys fix what wasn't working, work on something new. Right now, I think he has a whole new mindset tonight for his guys, and I think Brad Marchand, Matthew Tkachuk, they're all going to speak out in that locker room and say, guys, we got to pull things together. We got to do a better job in the forechecking. We've got to be aggressive, but not overly aggressive, because if that puck bounces the wrong way, we're going to be in trouble. That has been killing us. And Nylander, we got to start being more physical with him. We've got to be more physical with Matthews. They are so fast. We need to get in front of them when they have the puck. We need to make a check. Even if it's on the middle open ice, you don't have to knock them on their butts, but you got to make sure you're sticking it to them a little bit. Push them against the glass. You've got to be physical. This game has to be more physical. They got to get back to playing that style of hockey. So when it comes to game number 3, we're going to have a couple, more than a couple, a few quotes from the man himself, the head coach. This is Paul Maurice on Sergei Bobrovsky's resilience as the goaltender for the Florida Panthers. He's just trained for it his whole life. He's not an emotional player. I don't think you can play as long as he has if you ride that roller coaster up and down. He's even keeled. He has a routine that he has faith in. He will just stick with it. He has games in the playoffs last year when he was pretty consistent that he didn't like. So, okay, thanks, Paul. But here he is more on Bobrovsky's resilience. I thought his game 2 was very, very good. He made all the saves. He didn't see one that was a he didn't see one that was a knuckler. There's no pre-scout for that when it happens. It just goes in. I really liked his game, and that is the trend for him. He has found a way to come back and be really solid. He just has a foundation, and he doesn't come off his foundation. I think that's huge. I think I agree with him 100%. I think Bobrovsky is going to come out. He's going to be on fire tonight, but he needs to still get help from the guys that have from the guys that are in front of him, standing in front of him and trying to stop that puck from getting to him. They have to be more aggressive. They really do. So this is Paul Maurice on the team's resiliency. We've been through it. They've shared this experience. They could draw on it and be specific with it. They were down 2-1 in the conference final. So they've been around that idea before. It's not the situation in the series that is really important to understand. It's actually the situation in the game with the way the game can change. I love that quote from him. And on the team channeling pressure into excitement. There's just the composure of the situation, whether up two or down two in the series, the game still has to be played and played intelligently at a high level. As pressure mounts, whether a team is trying to close out or claw back, you just want to make sure that you're not trying to hit a home run every time you touch the puck. And that's one of the problems I think the Panthers have had, is trying to do that, trying to be fancy with their passes, trying to find a way to have a nice, twirl around or a little spin move to get around someone, even when they're in the neutral zone or just getting past their own blue line, and it's come back and bitten them in the butt. They need to be more careful when they're handling the puck. They need to be smarter. The turnovers have to stop. The odd man rushes have to stop. Toronto is faster, and they've shown it. So they need to be cognizant of that and understand. We need to make sure we're forechecking, but not as much as we've been doing in terms of the aggressiveness. We need to know if there's somebody behind us that we can aggressively forecheck. So if that puck does bounce in the wrong direction, we've got somebody back there that can help defend. And it's not just the goaltender. And again, I think Bobrovsky will have a very good night tonight. His numbers haven't been great in the series, but they were great in the first round. He always has a way to just bounce back from these tough losses. And again, I don't think that he's going to be an issue here. He has had some incredible saves in this series already. He's had some bad ones that have gone by him, but he will be standing on his head tonight. I think this team's going to be fired up. The crowd's going to be fired up, and they're going to feed off of that. And this is going to be a W for the Cats. As long as they can block shots, keep putting the puck in the back of the net during the power play, and if they can win in the circle and make that more around 50-50 win percentage, then they have a chance of making this a 2-1 series. If they don't do that, I'm going to hate to say that Toronto may walk away with the W tonight. They need to stay on their toes and make sure Nylander, Matthews, all of those guys stay in check tonight. And that's going to be big responsibility for the defenders, especially the guys that are those big-time offensive gurus on this team that might not be the greatest defenders. They're going to have to play some incredible defense tonight. So we'll see what happens, guys. Exciting game again. Don't forget, 7 p.m. tonight. It is on TNT. And don't forget to subscribe down below. Like, comment, share, please. I would appreciate it. You guys are wonderful. Thank you so much for tuning into this. I'll see you guys next time, and enjoy the game tonight. Go Cats.